What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chasing 100 Now podcast. Shaq, we all know that about 60% of marriages end up in divorce. That means when you get married, you're more likely to break apart than to stay together. As a matter of fact, nowadays it's almost harder to stay together than it is to break up. It's so much easier. But I think, couples staying together and fighting through it
is a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Especially if there's children and there's a family. So Shaq, in 2024, when there's so much, it's so easy to break apart. How do people stay married? And I'm asking you to take the lead on this because you've been in your relationship much longer than I've been.
Okay, so the first thing is, let's talk about who shouldn't get married. If you're the kind of guy that's going to argue with your wife about the color of the drapes, go marry someone named Elton or Lance. Do not, yes, I know someone like this, yes. Do not get married.
Wow.
Number two, if you're the kind of man who says, Shaq, every morning she just starts talking and I don't want to listen to anything she says. Women talk, guys. Part of staying married is listening to your wife talk. Of course, he was divorced very soon after that. How to stay married? Number one, you guys need to have a mutual respect for each other. Yeah. And that becomes more difficult when you have kids because you don't have time for yourself. You're so busy with the kids. So that respect has to always be there. Okay. Number two, as a man, we have to understand that women say things out of emotion sometimes. They have hormones that are different than ours. That doesn't mean you accept getting run over. I'm not saying that. Yeah. What I'm saying is that it happens occasionally. Point it out. And if it doesn't happen, like more often than not.
Yeah, if it happens too often.
Yeah, then it's a whole other situation, yes.
Because
that's wrong. Respect. That's wrong. That's disrespect, right? But if it happens here, once in a blue moon, it's okay. Once a month.
I mean, we're talking real, right? Like reality.
Yeah, once a month. It's okay. Understand. Reality. Don't lose your shit over that. Number three, ladies, you need to let your husband go out with his friends at least 1 or 2 nights a week. It's really important. And guys, you need to do the same for your wives.
No. So many men that I know, married men, they lose that fire they have inside of them. Yes. They lose that adventurer. That guy that the woman fell in love with
to begin with. Yes, and that's what women you have to understand.
They become lazy and domesticated.
and I always say this, like ladies, if your man even wants to go out of the country every now and then by himself or with his friends.
With his friends, so what?
Okay, first of all,
if you don't trust,
why you're married to him anyways. But number two, you had no problem when he went to Seattle and worked Monday through Friday to pay the bills and came home. Why do you care now? And once again, men, you have to reciprocate the same for your wife. It's very important to have a life outside of marriage. Because remember what happened during COVID? How many people got divorced? You have to have a life outside of marriage. So what do you think, Adnan?
I know one thing. So I think I may have mentioned this story before, but I think it's worth repeating.
Absolutely.
I was married to a very good woman, really good wife, beautiful woman, the best cook, took care of everything in the house, took care of me, really loved me, was a good woman, just a good woman, I didn't know how to control my mind at that time. So I let my mind focus on what I didn't like about her, right? So all the little annoying things, there are things about your wife that annoy you.
And there are things that annoy you.
And about you that annoy her, right? Same, it's gonna happen, right? It's just normal, right? But those things grew in my mind because I kept paying attention to them. So all this little stuff she would do, I'd be like, gosh, she's doing it again. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of energy. And so it grew until I got to the point where I was like, man, I just can't take it anymore. I'm out. But looking back, I didn't understand a very key principle that I now understand, which is where attention goes, energy flows.
That's a really important principle.
And I know you guys have heard this from me before, and you're going to keep hearing from me. Where attention goes, energy flows. So wherever your mental attention goes, that's where all the energy is going to go. Yeah. So for me, if I would have paid attention to all the good things, we'd probably still be married. And so that leads me to a second principle, which is something that I learned from Tony Robbins. He said, if you trade your expectation for appreciation, all your relationships will change in an instant. Trade your expectations for appreciation.
There are so few people that do that.
So instead of expecting, and that was a big problem with me, because I expect, especially men and women who expect highly from themselves, sometimes they do the same to their spouses, right? And I know I've made that mistake because I expect so much from myself that I also tend to expect things from my spouse, right? And so if you trade your expectations for appreciation, now I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have a wonderful woman in my life. You know what I'm saying? All right, Shaq, let's get into the specifics, okay? Let's talk about what a man should do to stay in marriage, to stay, solid in his marriage, and what women should do to stay solid in their marriage. So,
okay,
what do you think?
So first things women should do, here are things they shouldn't do.
Okay.
Please, ladies, quit leaving negative voice messages on our phones. We don't listen to them. We don't.
The 10-minute message.
The 10-minute message. Look, you should have a good enough relationship with your husband to where you can tell him things to his face. Perfect. And trust me, he wants you to tell him to his face other than this nonsense. So please stop doing that.
Book, message.
Yeah, the book. No one reads the book. Oh my God. We don't even read the cover. Don't even read the cover.
Ladies, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be straight up. That just screams crazy. All right? That just screams crazy. Because anyway, I don't want to get into my stuff. Anyway, sorry.
Number 2, ladies, don't accuse a man of cheating if you don't have 100% valid proof. I have a great story. Actually, it's actually a very terrible story. But the thing is, if you always accuse a man who does nothing, who obviously isn't doing anything, first thing he's going to think is you're cheating on him. Because that's what people do. That's what happens. So I knew this guy. His wife used to constantly accuse him of cheating, and it was obvious he wasn't doing anything, And sure enough, he found out, he saw her computer, she was exchanging love messages with one of her coworkers, and when he opened up the holy book in the house, the parts on infidelity, and I'm not making this up, were highlighted.
No.
Were highlighted.
No.
Yes, so women don't accuse a man of cheating unless you're 1,000% sure, okay?
Wow. If you accuse a man of cheating, and he's not, he's going to be like, what the fuck? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're accusing me, I might as well do it.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
You already think I am.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I'm not saying he will, and I'm not saying it's good to do it, guys. Not encouraging cheating, okay? I'm just saying that it's like very upsetting. It's like, well, what the hell? Damned if I do, damned if I don't. It's that type of thing. Yeah. So Shaq, what are some things a man should do to stay married?
Okay, the first thing a man should do is don't disrespect your wife. So many marriages that fell apart, they would call their wife a bitch or a whore. First of all, you don't talk that way to anyone. Yes, you don't talk that way to anyone, much less the mother of your children. You do not do this. Yes, number two, don't let yourself go after marriage. And this goes for both of you. You guys fell in love with each other, and yes, and the excuse of yes, people get older, that's bullshit. I've gotten in much better shape, and everyone I work with gets in much better shape after their marriage. Yes, if you've had kids, it's a little bit more difficult. It takes more time. We understand that. But if you're sitting around eating fucking shit on the sofa, chips and shit, you know why you're out of shape.
Letting go, though, is it just physical, or is it also?
It's also no. Yes, both ways.
Who let go of their swag?
Yes, the swag too. The reason you liked him, the reason you fell in love with him. We talked about attractiveness in a previous episode. Yeah. You liked his personality. You liked his swagger. You liked whatever. That you can't let that go. Okay, so number 3, men, you need to be involved in your children's lives. This is very important. Look, I'm not too proud. I do change diapers. I do give my kids a bath. I make sure my relationship with my children is very tight. Let me tell you something, guys and ladies. Every woman that I ever met that was a train wreck had a bad relationship with their father. This is very important. Take care of your kids, especially your daughters. You got to be very close with them. And that's like a golden rule.
Yeah.
It happens no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another way to stay married, and this is for both of you guys need to take out at least one night a week, every 2 weeks. I don't care how busy you are. You and your wife need to go out for dinner, go for a walk, whatever, without the kids, and don't talk about the children. Just talk about life in general, how you're feeling, your expectations, where you want to go in the future. That's really important. You got to always have that connection.
Well, but what that also entails is that they have a life outside of the children.
Correct. Then you have nothing to talk about if you don't have a life, right?
Exactly.
You have no, and if your only friends are your relatives, that's not a good thing either. Yeah. You need to have your outside friendships, as long as they come from a good place. Of course, don't make friends with bad people, but there are plenty of people that have the same, thoughts and dreams as you. Hang with them, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Jack, what happens if you're really, like, for people out there, I know there are some people out there that are on the brink of divorce. are in serious trouble in their marriage and they're really just see no option other than divorce.
Okay.
What would you advise?
So I can speak from experience. I was there. I was very close to getting a divorce. And let me tell you how this could have been prevented, first of all. You need to make sure and check and see if your spouse is happy. Ask them. A lot of times people are not going to tell you. They're just going to keep it inside and be angry. Ask them if they're happy. And if they say yes, ask them again. No, really, are you happy? They're going to tell you the truth. Ask, what can I do to make you happy? Now understand, this should be reciprocated from their side also. But this is a very important thing. You can't lose that connection, okay?
Yeah.
So number 2, if you didn't do that, and we hadn't done that, then you know what? You need to go to therapy, marriage therapy. Because let me tell you something. The wife's friends, the wife's family are going to put nonsense in her ear. Your friends are going to put nonsense in your ear. You need an impartial voice who's going to listen and who has expertise to kind of tell you what direction.
That's the thing, though, I think that people need to be really be careful about is which therapist.
Correct. You gotta
right? Because I know the opposite. I know a lot of therapists who have made things worse.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to always get a recommendation from someone who's actually used this therapist. So the great thing about therapy is you go there, this impartial voice listens to both of your sides of the marriage. And the thing is, almost any problem can be solved if we work on it.
Dialogue.
There's a reason they're experts.
Yes.
Like, I'm a guru, whatever you want to call it. I go to therapy every week. I have a mentor. I have someone I talk to. I have someone that gives advice and dishes out advice, okay? Go to therapy if you're in trouble. It will help. And like I said, if one of you doesn't want to go to therapy, it's because you know you're up to no good. You know that you're in the wrong. So seriously, this
There's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of push. So again, but again, I understand the pushback. I've never gone to therapy because I've heard horror stories. Right. So I think that point is very important. Now I have coaches though. I do have people that I go to, by the way, and I don't mind being called out. And I think that's the issue with a lot of men out there. Men, they can't handle people calling them out or questioning them. So that's why I think for me, I don't have a therapist, but I have guys who I know that will call me on my bullshit. Friends who will tell me, "Hey man, you're not right. You need to get better."
So that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I had gotten to that point, because I wouldn't have gone to therapy either, where it was this or we're done. So I kind of had to go. So I had fears too, but I didn't have a choice. And what I learned, if you have a good therapist, I tell people now, I'm actually very glad my life got that close to divorce, because now I have, by the grace of God, our marriage is better than it's ever been in our 15 years of being together. Yeah. This is how important this is.
And men, it's interesting because, in my business, leadership training, coaching, all that, I talk about teams, right? Building teams. And it's really interesting when you study teams, they go through 4 stages, right? But that can also apply to a couple.
Right, absolutely.
Right? Yes. And what happens in teams is that the 3rd stage is always conflict.
Right.
Because you're going to have conflict regardless. If you're with a group of people, eventually there's going to be, repeatedly the same group, eventually there's going to be conflict. Correct. Right? So in a marriage, there's going to be conflict. 100%. Like they say in Spanish, COC, right? Yes or yes. So you're going to have conflict, right? But that conflict is like, if it's dealt with in the right way, then you can actually reach a higher level in your marriage. Absolutely. You actually get stronger by overcoming it together, or you break apart. Right? So that's when I now look at conflict. When I have issues with my wife, I always look at it like, okay, we're in a period of conflict. How can we use this conflict to actually make us better? And thank God I have a very understanding and amazing wife. Yeah. So she understands that as well. So that way we're able to kind of take every conflict and make us even stronger as a couple. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. I know it's a struggle to stay together in 2024, but we're out here praying for you guys. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next episode.